Hello and welcome to the How to Use My HDRI series. More specifically, this video is going to be the Arnold quick lighting setup. So just a quick overview. My name is Gary Lewis. You might know me better as Kung Fu Jackrabbit, and these videos are going to access a couple of the free HDRIs that I have. Then we're going to move on to some shaders, some lighting, and we're pretty much just going to be looking at getting your HDRI in there and you being able to integrate 3D objects into a real scene quickly and easily. And this is going to be just the first level. This video is just the low-level proof of concept. So we're just starting off with a regular old box, a sphere, some text, and a plane. So just to get started here, let's just make sure that you've got the Arnold plugin already turned on. It's the MTOA. This is where you load it. After you've got that, we'll check our render settings and change it to Arnold. It's the very last one on there, and we'll see things change right here. What your size is isn't really important. I'm just going to stick to an HD 1080 and then render a little bit smaller as test. And then we'll get into this area in just a little bit. So first, let's take a look here in the Arnold drop-down and look at the Arnold render view, and we'll just scale it in here a little bit so that we can keep it on the screen a little bit less obtrusively. And we can see that nothing renders because we have no Arnold lights right now, and that's really the big thing with Arnold, that it just doesn't have anything going on until you start to light with its preferred method. So we're going to go to under lights here, and since we're loading an HDR, we're going to use the sky dome light, and immediately you can see, hey, we've got something like, with some AO going on, and we've got a render, so things are going well. All right, now the next thing is you can see that this is our sky dome right here, and under the color, let's load a file. Let's load up an HDR, and we're just going to go select, and I've got the free set up here, so I'll give you a link right here, and that is going to get you a whole set of these free HDRs. Let's just use the tunnel edge and make sure that you're selecting the HDR file. Usually you can see the JPEG, it'll pop in here, and it comes in a little quicker because it's so much smaller. These are 32-bit files and have a lot of data in there, so that's why it's going to take a second to load, depending on your machine and if you're recording video and all that kind of neat stuff. Alright, so as soon as this loads up, this is just our low-level integration of 3D into a scene. So what we want is we want to get this HDR into the background, we want to get it lighting the image, and oh, you can see the difference now. It changed the lighting. So now we're starting to already see a difference. But we also can tell that here's our HDR in the scene, and we're not seeing it in here, and we don't always need to use it, but on this first level we do want to use it. We want to put it in here and actually get it to integrate and have some shadows, and then we're going to tweak the lighting and all that kind of neat stuff. So next step is, let's jump in here and let's look at creating a AI sky. So you can see that we've got our AI, our HDRI is right here, and it's hooked into our sky dome. What we need next is to look under the Arnold shaders, and there's our AI sky right here. And just to be clean, I kind of like to keep this kind of clean because we're going to have a lot of shader nodes and a lot of setup in here. We're just going to use this same HDR. We could copy this, but I really don't like to do that. I just want to keep this all connected, and then if I make some changes, then, or if I change this on one, I don't have to change it twice. It's just a little efficiency thing. Alright, now we've got this in here, and now we're just going to pop back out. You could see that the lighting changed again, just like it did last time. So we're going to make a couple of quick adjustments, like we're going to select the sky dome, and we're going to make sure that it's using the lat long format. We don't use the mirror ball anymore. That's some old stuff. These are much larger and much better resolution. And we're also going to scroll up here, and the resolution that what I want to pick is I want to put this in as 10,000 because that's the size of the HDR that we're using, I believe. If it's 7,500, put 7,500, but on this case I believe it's 10,000. So this is just going to mimic the size of what we're putting in here. So now this is going to pretty much tie up what we need. We could increase a couple of samples, maybe 2 or 3, but we'll get into those kind of tweaks later on. Right now we see that there is some noise in here, so let's get rid of that and set up our HDR to actually show in the background here real quick. So first, let's just go ahead and let's set this up to a number that I already know is going to make it better, 5. And then we're going to change the diffuse to 3. And so we're just eliminating a little bit of that noise already. So this is just going to help us. This is still pretty quick for the renders, and we're going to keep this under 10 minutes. So no, don't get too antsy. But you can already tell that we're already really far along our way, and we now need to get that background in. So we're going to go under Environment, under the Arnold tab, and we're going to select here, and there's the AI sky that we already created. As soon as we pick it, boom, we pop that in, and you can tell that it changed the lighting again. The lighting just keeps on getting just a little bit more detailed as it's getting the reflections to be different, and actually using a lot of these extra little bits of information that we're supplying to the render. So you can tell that that's getting a little closer to what we want. And just as a proof of concept, we're almost there. We just need this plane, which we just selected. We need to give it a shader. So let's make right here. Let's get in here, and we need an AI shadow catcher. And there it is. So now that that's selected, you can select through this render window, by the way, which is kind of a cool trick in Arnold, and assign it. And this should be turning black in just a minute here. So what we need to do next, we're just going to wait for it to catch up. And while we're in here, we're still in the shadow catcher. You can see it right here. We're going to go ahead and enable transparency. All right, and then we're going to get out of there. So we also need to make sure that, okay, it is on there, and I was expecting to see this turn black just a moment ago, but I don't think it's caught up with us. So the next thing to check is that under the Arnold tab, here's the plane, we're looking at the 3D geometry. So under the geometry, we actually have to change it to where it's actually going to be where we can see through it, and we're going to turn off the opaque, and as long as we've got polymesh on there, then we're going to be fine. Now when this kind of lags and stalls out like this, sometimes I'll help out. Since it isn't a real-time render, I'll just shut it off, turn it back on, and then you can tell that the plane went away. I just kind of jarred it into moving. So real soon here, we are almost at a point where we've got something that's already integrating into a scene. So we've got the shadows, we've got the light that's affecting this. If we were to put some shaders on right about now and another light, and we were to sample this, all that is what we're going to do in the very next video. So we're just under 10 minutes now. So what we're going to do is just going to take a look at this render just a little bit larger. And there you have it. You see it. I just gave you a quick pause there so you didn't have to wait through the render. It actually got a little confused as I hit the button a couple times. But you can see now we're getting the shadows, we're getting the angle of the light coming from this direction. It's producing a shadow right here. It's not very strong though, so that's what we're going to focus in the next video. So come on back and see me for the next one, and we're going to refine this, and we'll make it just a little bit better and keep these render videos going really fast. Thanks.